Hello, everyone. I'm Coach Duquessidine. Today's conversation is super exciting. I am just thrilled that we get to talk about something this amazing today. We're talking about how Black women in the corporate world have inspired us, the lessons we've learned from them, and we're also going to be sharing some ways that we believe we can continue to create pathways and open opportunities for Black women in the future. After coaching women for over 20 years, I've noticed that there are so many commonalities among us. We often believe that our circumstances are isolated to us, when in fact, they are common among us. Safe Space Conversations was designed to share tips, tools, and resources specifically for women. I find fulfillment in helping my clients to experience aha moments, moments when those light bulbs come on, and to witness them transform their lives from living in overwhelm to taking ownership of their lives and creating the life that they actually dream of. Now, if anything at all resonates with you today as we're having this conversation, please let me know. Use the comment section and share your feedback, share your thoughts so that we can deepen this conversation and have a great dialogue today. Joining me for this conversation are some amazing women. First up to our panel today is Dr. Michelle Rencher. Dr. Michelle Rencher is a motivated and creative leader with 25 years of experience. As a matter of fact, over 25 years of experience transforming organizations by streamlining processes, enhancing products, and leveraging partnerships. She has an outstanding record of successfully identifying opportunities and approaching difficult business problems with meaningful precision, diplomacy, and strategic grace, which results in a positive impact on the corporate revenue streams, streamlined internal processes, and expanded brand recognition. She is passionate and a passionate proponent of inclusion and belonging with a desire to cultivate, educate, and mentor others to develop their skills and abilities. Dr. Rencher, welcome to our conversation today.
Thank you for the warm introduction, and thank you
You're
for being
welcome.
here today.
Next up to our discussion panel today is Loukishia Cooper. Loukishia Cooper is passionate about putting people first. She believes that building strong relationships, whether with internal teams or suppliers or customers, really helps in making everyone achieve goals easier and simply just makes things better. She believes in doing all things well. She executes with a standard of excellence, and it's important that that excellence is reflected in her work. For supply chain, that means that she develops strategic solutions to meet customers' needs to ensure that they have what they need to support their goals when expected. Loukishia is a change leader, and that's as an extension of her being so goal oriented. This allows her to be able to assess risk, develop solutions to overcome them, and implement changes necessary to be successful. Loukishia, welcome to this panel discussion today.
Well, thank you for the welcome, and hi everyone.
Hello.
And I'm so happy that you're here today to join this discussion. And as we continue with the discussion, I'm going to ask you to please pronounce your last name for me so I don't mispronounce it.
Sure, it's Egbuho.
Egbuho, I love it. What does it mean?
So I'm married to a Nigerian man from the
Oh,
kingdom, the Igbo kingdom, and so his name actually that last name means the one who created a path.
I love it.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, that's
And
powerful name.
it is. Aya helps businesses and parentpreneurs multiply their revenue, optimize their systems, and increase their visibility so that they can at least 10 times their presence at home. Now, for those of you who are working moms, you know how important this is. Aya helps entrepreneurs and parentpreneurs to build a sustainable, profitable business so that they can buy back their time, diversify their income, and give their kids, parents, and partners all the time that they deserve. Aya is a writer, speaker, and a business coach. I am so excited that you are all here in this discussion today. Thank you so much for being here. And Billy, we welcome you to the conversation today. Thank you. You've been hitting all of our safe space conversations. We also see that Heather is here. Heather is sending a shout out to Dr. Michelle Rencher. Thank you so much for being here. If you're watching live, if you're on our Facebook platform, YouTube platform, please allow StreamYard permission to use your name so that we can share your comments and feedback as we continue today's conversation. Ladies, I'm excited. Are you excited?
Yes.
Very.
So let's just jump into this topic that we're talking about today because we are talking about Black women in the corporate world, inspiration and lessons. And so, Dr. Rencher, as you think about Black women in the corporate world today and of the past, can you tell us perhaps who has been some of the women that have inspired you on your journey as a Black woman?
Well, I believe all of our journeys began before we even were women. And in my space, I come from a very long line of women, whether they were corporate or not, a very long line of women who themselves were making amazing contributions in our families, in their jobs, in our community. And they were all very intentional in bringing faith along for the journey, making certain that we had some level of balance and that it could support me on my current journey and all of my generation. But beyond those women, I can say that I'm a huge follower of women like Ellen Sirleaf Johnson, the first woman prime minister of Liberia. And then now Magdala Cooper, who was herself running to be the new prime minister of Liberia. I also follow women like Bazoma St. John. So those of you who have Netflix, the reason why we have Nigeria, Ghana, and South African television programs on Netflix is because of Bazoma St. John. She was the woman that said, I walked into Netflix and there was nobody that looked like her, no one that sounded like her, nobody that had her sense of style. And she was like, listen, I am from a world where there is everyone who looks like me, sounds like me, and thinks like me. And she wanted the world to recognize the power and amazing talent of the continent. Even though she's no longer at Netflix, she brought that energy. And so for me, it's so important that wherever I walk into a space, even if it's virtually, that I bring exactly who I am, my authentic self to every conversation. And to me, that is inspiring.
That's good.
We can't hear you, Tequessa.
Yes. Thank you so much. Listen, I've fallen in love with those African movies. I've been watching them and it's so entertainment. I find it so much cleaner, but we won't go into all of that.
Why we in our part of the world can see those movies because they exist.
Yeah.
I'm certain I could tell you they've existed for decades. You know, we
Yeah.
all know Hollywood in California. We all know Bollywood in India. But Nollywood has existed for decades. There's Gollywood in Ghana. There's even movies that are coming from South Africa and Botswana and Kenya. But because of Bazoma, she was like, hold up. we all pay our subscription to Netflix. We all get on the link. If we want a Netflix and chill, we want to see ourselves on the big screen. And the fashion and the talent from the continent, hands down. So thank you, Bazoma, for inspiring us to recognize that talent can be in all shapes and sizes and forms and shades. And
thank you so much. Aya, we'll come over to you. Who have been some of your inspirations as you journeyed along?
Wow, that was really inspiring, Dr. Michelle Rencher. I did not know that, so that's why I'm so hyped because because I remember when that happened on Netflix. I remember when that happened, and I was so thankful. I was like, my people are out here, yes. So I was very excited. I'm going to do a throwback, and this might sound so over the top, but I really do feel this way. One of my biggest female heroes is Harriet Tubman. And I love Harriet Tubman for so many reasons. And I love many, many women. But Harriet Tubman, when I think about her story, And I think about her persistence to be free. And then I think about her going back to free other people. And I just think about that strength. It's just, to me, symbolizes the strength of our ancestors. It symbolizes the strength of so many women, because so many women have been so strong for us to get here, right? We didn't all just get here. We got here because somebody else was paving the way. And so for me, just when I read that question you sent to, that's who I thought of. I think of her because there have been many times on my journey that I have felt like giving up, or I have felt so overwhelmed, or the system is too big, or I felt selfish. I just want to think about myself. And I reflect on Harriet Tubman. I reflect on her life. I reflect on the bravery that it must have took to get there. And she reminds me of just the bravery of my mom, the bravery of my grandma, like the bravery of just everyday women who are like, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to make a pathway for myself, my children, and my community.
I really love the Harriet Tubman story. As a matter of fact, this quote behind me, you won't be able to see it, spoke about being a dreamer, right? If you have the faith, the
Wow.
courage, that's one of the Harriet Tubman quotes. And I just think that being able to stand against your husband who would have turned you in if you know if he knew you were going to be running away with these slaves, and to just go incognito running through the bushes like that, there is pure bravery, because there had to be a better way. And what an amazing woman, because of her, many of us are here, we're free, we're doing the things that we're doing, and she helped governments, you know. So yes, wonderful inspiration. Thank you so much, Aya. What about you, Loukishia?
Now, this one is a little bit personal based on my journey. Being a woman, and of course, being a Black woman and young, coming up in a company we know is just full of challenges. And there was this one leader who I admired based on her leadership skills, her dedication in terms of teaching me like how to develop goals, how to go after it. I think one of the most important lessons I learned from her, which definitely, when thinking about it, her name just pops up. Her name is Janet Brown. She was the former CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, at the company I worked at, and she'd give me a project to work on. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't do it. You know, I said, this is just this, I just can't do it. And she told me right then, stop right there. We're not going to take no. You can do it. Go back, take a look at it, develop a strategy, develop a plan, and get this done. And from there, I mean, she really set a standard for me. She let me know that, hey, if you put your mind to it, you can achieve it. She taught me how to access those resources, how to build a network, how to reach out to people. You can't do it by yourself. And at the time, she took me, I was just a manager, but she was the person who took me from being a manager to putting me in the boardroom. So she helped to develop my skills as a leader. So who would have thought that a little young, little something, right? Who had no background in the telecommunications industry. She helped develop her team, not only me, her team, to really deliver excellence. And she propelled so many young people into leadership and development. So I want to say hats off to a local Bahamian leader,
Yeah.
Janet Brown.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Loukishia. Here's the thing about being an inspiration to other people. Their massive platforms aren't required, doesn't take us inspiring thousands of people. If we touch one, that one person sparks another. And so, you ladies, I want you to know that you are inspirations to me. I watch your stories, I watch your social media platforms. We engage in conversation, and you are some of my heroes, because I know Dr. Michelle Rencher. She is someone that started her doctorate degree, and we've been talking through the journey. And, you know, it's just being so nice having a conversation with a woman who is forging a path and helping other Black women now who are also aspiring to get their doctorate degrees understand the process, and she's already gone through it. That type of mentorship is understated, and it cannot, you can't even put a price on that. And then Aya is an inspiration too, because as a mom of adult children, as I watch other self-employed or small business owners trying to juggle so many pieces of their lives while still having kids that are toddlers, and seeing the impact and stress level, being the type of coach that helps them to understand or have strategies to take back their time in their life is something that will end up touching generations for years to come. And so that's an inspiration. And just watching Loukishia operate in her business, and you would think that this lady is in business. She isn't in business to make money, because she's building more relationships. Everyone that walks through her doors at Modern Design, she's touching their lives. She's listening to them, and people just want to be seen. They just want to be heard. And so it's great that you guys are living testimonies of what support as a Black woman looks like, and that you are also inspiring other people. I see Solomon has joined us and saying it's a powerful group of women impacting our society. Thank you so much, Solomon, for being here with us today. Yes, he's saying that Harriet Tubman is it, Aya. And we have
Yeah.
Heather saying, yay for Janet. She is my church member,
Yes.
Keisha. So that's really great. So I'm loving this conversation. There are so many women that live and work among us who are inspiration, and we may look at them and we may never think that their lives are complex, because Black women are known for being strong, right? That's strong Black woman. We learn how to put on our big panties and just keep it rolling, right? And so there are so many of us who take on that pride of being this strong person, that we could carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. But as we look at how the world is progressing, how do we shift now from having that strength or saying that we're strong as a badge of honor, to now shifting that strength to something different, something like inner peace, something like pursuit of the things that really make us joyful? What are some of your thoughts about how we can turn that from that badge of honor of I've overcome so much, to now enjoying life in a different way? So, Dr. Michelle, would you like to start the conversation on that?
Absolutely. So I think, for a long time, there was this perception that if you were a woman, you're working in the working force, if you had a family at home, you could only do one thing at a time. There's this thing that you can be a mom, do it very well. If you had a career, or working in the workforce, that was something that you had to focus on. But even if you are doing each of those things individually, there are opportunities to gain some level of balance. And to me, today's discussion is just one of those opportunities. So this is the middle of my workday. I live in the central time zone. This is my lunch break. So I'm enjoying having a discussion at lunch. But I think apart from just finding opportunities in the midst of your workday, I think even if you are completely working and your family is at home or in the next room, you need to create some level of balance. You can't say yes to every single assignment. Loukishia, you were saying that your mentor gave you the command of you couldn't say no to that assignment. And that was important to say yes to. But sometimes there are those operational tasks that somebody else can do, that could probably benefit their life, that can enhance their journey. And if you've done it so well for 19,000 years, then let somebody else do it. Delegate. I'm a huge proponent of letting somebody else get some glory for a few moments.
Yeah.
When you walk in brilliance and you are creative and you're good at A, B, C through Q, let somebody else take the rest of the alphabet.
Yes.
So you can take a moment to breathe. One of the benefits of me taking on the PhD journey was that I wanted to prepare for the next season of my life, because I know I was not going to be doing what I'm doing right now in technology forever. There comes a time when you're no longer called on to be the best person to do A, B, and C, and they look over you or look beyond you. And so I wanted to take control of that dynamic and make certain that I'm ready for what's coming next. And so for me, it was important to have some added skills, some extreme level of knowledge, so that when the time comes to make that shift and that transition, I can do it smoothly and effortlessly.
Yeah.
You allow other people outside of your immediate space to take control of that narrative is when you become, frazzled and you're not really taking in control. but maybe it's a control factor that I may have to let go of also. But
Yes.
delegation is a true way of being able to maintain your peace, passing it on to somebody else, and also acknowledging right now is not a good time for me.
Yeah.
One of my favorite sayings from Ian Van Sant is that if it's not serving you in this season, let it go. You know,
Yeah.
we've all been to restaurants, if it's as small as Chick-fil-A or some five-star Michelin restaurant, we've all been served a plate of food in some way or shape or form. In the Bahamas, we all go to different kinds of restaurants, and if we're thriving in hospitality, then we understand the importance of that 10% tip, right?
Yeah.
But if they bring the food to your table and it's cold, it doesn't meet the requirements of your order, then you're gonna raise the Baptist finger and send it back to the kitchen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Even in Chick-fil-A, right? If the fries aren't the right shade of, if they're not all waffle, you're gonna send them back. So if it doesn't serve you in that season,
Yes.
I'll just step back from the table and just say, you know what? Not today. I'm
Yeah.
just going to do something else today. I'm going to do something that serves me and that gives me peace and joy. And it gives me the level of reassuredness that I need to make it until tomorrow and the day after, even next month and next year. So
Absolutely.
2023 is my year of saying yes to me. Yes to things that make me say, oh, I can beat my face, put on a cute lipstick. I work mostly with older men. They don't care about my lipstick and my lip gloss. They really don't. They my strategy in my mind and my ideas and my decision making when it comes to technology. And that's what I've trained for years to do. But if it doesn't bring me joy every single second of the day, if someone like DeQuesta says, hey, are you free for a lunchtime discussion with some other beautiful, brilliant women? Absolutely. I'm going to say
Yeah.
yes to the lunchtime conversation. So, ladies,
Yeah.
I'm here to learn from you.
Yes. Thank you so much. I see Coach Tara Hall is saying yes to me with exclamation marks. Thank you so much, Coach T, for being here. Now, Aya, this has to be sitting in your expertise area. What would you say about shifting that strongness from a badge of honor to a place of where you are at peace with inner peace and happiness and joy?
Man, that is such a brilliant question. And for me, I think everything starts in the mind. And everything starts with giving yourself permission to even make that shift. When we think about, like, I really like track and field a lot. And one of the things I love is the relay race, and they're, passing the baton. Everyone's experience is different. So especially when you're talking about multi-generational, everyone has a different perspective, everyone has a different background, and everyone has a different standard of excellence or what they hold themselves to. And it's so important. I think Dr. Rencher said this, and it was really brilliant. Like, who is controlling that narrative for you? Who is controlling that narrative for you? Whose life are you really living? Right. And so for something so for me, one size doesn't fit all. Right. And so for one person, the narrative of I'm just very strong, I'm taking everything on, and what they're doing to someone else is like, that's not even a lot. Is that a lot? What is that? You're not barely doing anything. Or vice versa. Someone else who would say, oh, I'm barely doing anything. And someone else will look to that person and say, but do you see how much you're doing? Like Rihanna, you just had a baby. You're having another baby. You're performing at the Super Bowl. You're a billionaire. You have a company. You have a partner. Like, oh my goodness. And for her, I mean, she was good. She was good. So the first step is really finding your own voice. That's the first step. What's good for you? And to take some time to ask yourself what has been conditioned into you from other people you've taken the baton from. And it doesn't mean it's good or bad or it's right or wrong. That's not what I'm here to say. It just means that, is it, like Dr. Rencher was saying, is it still serving you? Right? I know for me personally, um, I think women can do many, many things at one time. I definitely think that. But I also know that for me, my priority is raising my two daughters. That's priority number one. I would say no to anything if I feel like it's going to interfere with giving my daughters what I think I want to give them so they can grow up to be strong women. And so maybe someone else might say, oh, you're compromising yourself. Like you could do this, you should be traveling. Like I don't travel. I do speaking engagements virtually or in my city. I don't travel for that reason because they're little, I believe they need me. So I want people to really really think about what messages that they have embraced, and if those messages are still serving them or they're from someone else, some other generation, someone else's perspective. Once you know your voice, what works for you, give yourself the permission to do what really works for you, because no one can
Yeah,
give you that permission. I'm
yeah,
always telling my clients that no
yeah.
one can give you the permission to do what works for you. You have to give it to yourself. So that's what I would say.
I see Coach Tara just wrote, who was writing your narrative. Great question. And I see Heather is saying that there's not any one person who was an inspiration. She's inspired by any woman who steps up to the plate to run countries and or institutions that some think only men are capable of running. I'm inspired by women who rise up through their struggles to show that it is important to do so. That's really powerful, Heather. Really, really powerful. So, Lakeisha, let's get you to chime in, and then we're going to switch to one of our final questions.
Well, both Aya and Dr. Michelle touched on it, right? And it's the message. For me, growing up, my mom was, the word was be strong, be independent, right? And the messages that I learned was being strong. But what does being strong mean? And for me, I think it was good and it was not so good because everything was about, you need to get it done, you need to be strong. That as women, as Black women, we are not encouraged to celebrate ourselves enough. What is it about creating a balance? So I was, again, I was on in my job and I was working like a lot, right? Working a lot, putting in all the time, just trying to, of course, just I'm a woman, definitely you have to work a lot harder. The expectations are different. And I had a boss and I was like, I went in and he said, Loukishia, like how much hours are you working? And I was working like 60, 80 hours a week, like nonstop. And he was like, looking at my form and he was like, there's no way you put in all this time. And immediately I got defensive. I was like, what do you mean? I put in all this time. You saw all this work I did. Like, what are you saying? And he was like, you need to create work-life balance for yourself. You need to create that balance because if you're working here all of this time, it's impossible for you to be doing anything else.
Wow.
But for me, all that had been conditioned in me was to be strong, be independent, right? This is what you have to do in order to achieve your goals. This is what society is saying. If you want to climb that corporate ladder that's just full of men, and really the barrier to entry for a woman, you have to do so much to get ahead. What does that mean? So for me, it's taking a step back and it's going back to what Aya said with your kids. What messages are we getting from infancy all through the developmental phase? What are we showing to our kids? What are we putting in them? We say strong a lot, all right? And I think definitely in our culture, in our society, we pride so much on people being strong that a lot of us don't know how to be anything else. We don't know how to stop and take a stop moment to enjoy those small moments or to celebrate each other or to build our communities, to collaborate and stuff like this with Sequessa. I mean, we're four amazing women just getting together and sharing our stories. So it's those messages that we share from childhood to help mold the future generation is a really important step in moving us forward and moving that needle.
Absolutely. And, that's why the work that each of us individually do is so super important because it's
Yes.
about showing other women that there are other possibilities, there are other paths, there can be different decisions. And because something has been taught to you doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right thing. Like for a Black woman, going through corporate organizations, like you said, Lakeisha, a lot of times the expectation is that you sacrifice yourself, you sacrifice your families, you sacrifice any sense of peace just to elevate this corporate ladder because you need to demonstrate that you are equally as good or better than your male peers who goofing off, sorry guys, in any event. So those messages definitely need to be questioned. And we also need to now develop the courage to say, this doesn't serve me. This isn't
No.
what I want. And then really be able to identify what we truly want. And so Joy is saying, if it's not serving you in this season, let it go. Absolutely. And if you're watching this live or if you're catching the replay, I want to challenge you to drop something in the comments now and tell us what's one thing that you can let go of. What is one message that you have received as a strong Black woman that you can challenge and release? I'm going to be looking for those comments in the comments. So Paulette is saying, yes, Loukishia, that lesson of responsibility is ingrained.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have Heather saying we have to define what strong is because we let that strong propel us and we keep pushing and we hide our pain underneath it. And then years later, we crash and burn and behind closed door. Heather, girl, why are you
Silence in many cases.
Heather exposing all of my past? This is so
At all.
yes, but that is really the truth. Like we just burn and burn and burn. And do we really want what we're out there pushing for? Like, do you really want the responsibility of being an executive for an organization? Go ahead.
So I was approached maybe about a year or so ago by our CIO and our deputy CIO. And he says, oh, you have the making of a future deputy CIO one day. And I thought for a second, well, that's his title. And I was like, no, I don't think I want that.
Correct.
And he kind of looked at me and he was like, you don't?
Right.
And he asked me, so what do you want to do when you grow up? Mind you, I'm 50, right? So I said, I think I want to be a travel writer for Condé Nast magazine. And he looks at me, he says, excuse me? I said, I want to travel on somebody else's dime and write about it and tell some stories on somebody else's dime.
Right.
And he was like, that's not something that you can do. I say, the magazine exists, right?
Correct.
Why can't I, a woman from the Caribbean, from the Bahamas, become a travel writer for Condé Nast magazine when I grow up?
Correct. Because the possibilities are endless.
I think our abilities to shift into something else, I think letting go and even acknowledging what strong means is wonderful, right? But I think even more so for me, it's important to recognize that it's okay to shift.
Yeah.
To just change your mind about something. Because I have an engineering degree. I got an MBA in strategy and I got a PhD. I haven't touched engineering in years. I have no interest in it. Nope. Do I still know those formulas? Absolutely. I don't have amnesia. But I can now shift into another space. It is giving me a level of credibility that I can walk into into an organization that's talking about technology and speak quite effectively. But I also know that today I'm more passionate about the people that manage the engineering stuff, who manage those processes and who manage all those systems. I'd rather talk to them about what they need to get done. And so my decision-making skills and abilities have taken me from this table to another table.
Correct.
And I believe that my ability to not only connect with people, be able to see them where they are, hear and listen to what their problems are, and help them to get to the next conversation and be able to support them is way more important than me writing up or drawing some schematic diagram.
No. I love it. I love it.
You don't want me doing that today.
Yes.
Dr. Michelle, absolutely. Let me go sit on that board.
Yes.
And sit to the table and meet the governor and tell the governor how our agency can be better by doing A, B, and C.
Yes.
Absolutely. You want women like us in those tables.
Yes.
You don't want me doing the little small stuff.
Correct.
Not making tea and coffee. And not doing typographical stuff. No.
Listen, I'm so glad that you brought that comment up because it takes us into, we have two more questions that we're going to talk about today, but it takes us into that third question, which is really, what are some of the barriers that still exist in the corporate world for women? Like what are some of the things that are holding us back? And Aya, I would like to start with you.
Wow. Loukishia, what you've been talking about has really impacted my heart. Wow. And it's impacted my heart because of the times that you've mentioned those expectations where you've had to work harder, you've had to prove yourself, you've had to do these things because of the environment, the corporate environment that gaslights us. Particularly, I believe, gaslights Black women. So I'm going to just be very bold and say that just a lot of gaslighting of Black women, making us feel like we're not doing enough when we're doing way too much. Like we're doing way too much, you know, and something that you said, Dakessa, that was very powerful to me when you said they're asking it like it's like the sacrifice this, but for what? But
Correct.
for what? To what end? What is the organization willing to give you? What is the organization willing to hold space for you? Are they pouring into you in the same way that you're pouring into them? So I'm going to go a little bit more intangible, more esoteric, like the big obstacles I feel is this idea that we are subservient to the male culture, or we have to like be doing so much, and it's complicated. So I don't have a lot of minutes to go into it. It's complicated, and it's not to take anything away from anyone, but my biggest desire is to see this narrative that is totally that is steeped in it's not true, that you know white males are at the top or males are do better than like all that is not true. We know it's not true. We've busted enough barriers to know that it's not true. And what I would love to see is this ethos where we actually support people. We actually like, you know, the person that you, I don't remember her name, but the person that you said was you admired Loukishia. Just that, I know how many people have poured into me so I can become my best. And I wish we could transition to that mindset. Who can we pour into so they can be their best, right?
Yeah.
And we all know, at least I believe, as Black women, when you pour into Black women, specifically, you're going to get such a return on your like the return you're going to get, you could not even get this from anyone. Like you are going to get so much. So I want us, the biggest obstacle, and it's hard because we need allyship. We're not going to change the landscape by ourselves. We need allyship. But the thing that I want us to realize is that we are already enough.
Yeah.
Let's operate from that place.
Love it. Thank you so
Definitely.
much. We're born enough, right? We're worthy. Yes. And I see Paulette is saying, yes, Aya. It's as if they push us to try to prove that we're not supposed to be in the positions that we're in. And Joy is saying, I agree with you, Aya. Parenting is simply turning down jobs and opportunities because they don't fit your child's schedule. I'm in that boat. Yes. And many of us, Aya, because for me, Joy, because for me, it's family first. You know, Loukishia, what are your insights or thoughts about the barriers that or what we still face?
Well, guess what? I think one of the barriers, definitely, Aya touched on it, is mindset. All right, is our mindset. I think we have been so conditioned to believe that we aren't good enough, that we don't have what it takes, that somebody else is better than we are. I don't deserve that. All right. And so a lot of it comes from us, I think. Some of it comes from us in terms of having the right mindset, having that self-doubt and not believing in ourselves. That's the first thing. Because once you believe that you can, once you know that you can, then we start to tolerate less. All right. I've been on a job, especially coming from the Caribbean. As a Caribbean woman, I think the challenge I've seen working in an international company has even been much harder. All right. Automatically, I have a bachelor's degree, I have an MBA. And for me, at first, I saw the prejudice against that. I saw the doubt from other leaders from an international standpoint, definitely start to dismiss me as a Caribbean Black woman. I had to work harder. I had to prove myself more. I was subjected to so much more than my other counterparts. All right. And so I had to take a moment and realign myself to say, hey, I am good enough. I have the experience. I know I can do it. And when having that shift in attitude, that's when I changed where I was. I took control of who I am. I took control of my journey as opposed to allowing someone to control me. And then I took it a step further. I then looked deeper into myself to say, Loukishia, what are you really doing? Are you doing what you really want to do? Or are you doing it because society is saying that you need to be the CEO? All right. That people are saying, oh, yeah, I want to be around her. Or, yeah, this is my friend, Loukishia. She is this, this position, this title. And I took control of the situation. But I think powerful for us as Black women is believing in ourselves, cultivating that mindset. And like we're doing here, I was driving last night. I usually have a power word every year. Last year, my word was elevate. Nothing to do with finances. It was elevating my mindset. And it came into 2023 and I didn't have my power word. Like this is the first time. And I was driving last night and it came to me. My goal for this year is collaboration. It is partnering with other people that have similar goals. So success is not just me, it's us. It's connecting with the right people. So yes, my mindset, it needs to evolve. But if I'm seeing Dr. Michelle, I'm seeing DeQuesta, I'm going to collaborate with them. I'm going to connect with them. I'm going to build that community that's going to help me achieve the things that I value. All right. So this year we're going to break down barriers. We're going to break down barriers.
Yes, I love it. I love it. We're going to shatter those barriers. We're going to cause them to be little pieces of pebbles that we step on. Love it. And I see Ify is saying that, yes, I agree. You have to believe in yourself before somebody else believes in you. Dr. Rencher, let's have you wrap up this question and we'll entertain our last question for today afterwards.
So ladies, when we're talking about barriers and the challenges and all the stuff that we face in either a corporate organization, public sector, private sector, if it's a local organization, if you were an international organization, I can say my experiences as a wife. I am a wife of an retired Army gentleman. I'm a mom in a blended family. I have an older son who was also a Navy veteran. Whenever I walk into spaces, and in many cases, again, working in technology, I'm typically the only person who looks like me, sounds like me, thinks like me, or even has on my kind of jewelry. But I typically walk into that space recognizing that I represent so many communities.
Yeah.
I represent people who, in most cases, don't even have a voice. I work for the state of Tennessee, and currently I'm getting ready to work on a huge our overall plan. How are we in the state of Tennessee going to address technology? Not for 2023 or 24, but until 2030. So how are we going to look at technology? How are we going to shape technology? How does technology shape our lives? How is it going to support the lives of our citizens for the next 8 years? That's an incredible opportunity, but I didn't take it lightly. What I look at it as, no matter how difficult or challenging, as Loukishia said, sometimes you walk into an assignment and you're like, ooh, can I even do this? But I look at it, what inspires me to say yes, not only because I want to see my name in bright lights, right? Because we all got some level of selfishness. Here, right?
Yes.
What I look at it as an opportunity to represent the people who for generations went unseen and unheard.
Yeah.
So there are generations of Black women who will never see their names written on any document. Many of them couldn't even read or write. There are many immigrant families who are never going to be seen and heard. There are many military families. There are blended families. There are families of kids who have different challenges. And there's so many things that walk into the room when I walk into that room.
Yes, I love it.
So whenever we're making a decision about an application, it may seem as simple as an application getting ready to go ahead and get its newest upgrade. I'm always thinking about who is this going to impact? Who is this infecting? So whenever I lead a discussion when it comes to technology, I'm always careful to ask them, who does this impact? And many times it's a big thing like, oh, it's the Department of Defense, it's the Department of Corrections, it's the Department of Health. But who is the customer? Does the customer look and sound like me? Does the customer have my worldview? Does the customer like spicy food? Who is the customer? And so when you start to think about who your customer is, who these situations and decisions impact, it makes you take a deep breath. Even if you are a naturally fast talker, you take a deep breath, you close your eyes for a split second, you don't rush anything. You make it a point that even if you are the only person in that room that sees and speaks the way the customer's perspective is, that you make your presence felt. And whenever I walk into a room, my overall intention is that it will never be the same when I walk out that room.
I love it.
The room will
Thank you.
never be the same. And I've worked in multifaceted organizations who have holdings all over the planet. But whenever I walk in that room, I'm taking the Bahamas with me. I'm bringing the Caribbean with me. I am bringing my spicy food to heat up in the break room. They can smell my food in the cafeteria. They can see me putting on lipstick before my next Zoom call. They're gonna be like, she
Love it.
always with the necklace on, because that's my authentic self.
Yes.
I used
Yes.
to be in a place, Loukishia. I used to live in a world in my mind where you had to wear a blue blazer and a white blouse and a pearl necklace. But that's not me. I'm a girl from Chippenham. That's just not me. A blue blazer or a black blazer. I don't even own a suit today. I gave all of those suits away long before the pandemic because I was like, why would I wear a suit to an interview or to a meeting or to a Zoom call when if they meet me tomorrow afternoon or next week Tuesday, that's not what I'm going to look like.
Yes.
So I want them to see me always the way I look. I
Yes.
want them to always see me and feel me whenever they see me on the street. The way they see me on Zoom, the way they saw me on some other platform is exactly who I am all the time.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think when we recognize we are not only are we enough, we are enough the way we sit and stand. When we walk into a room, when they ask our opinion, and even if they don't ask our opinion, we still show up. Because when you don't show up is when they make decisions, when they
Yes.
let things happen and you have to get caught up. But
Yes.
Black women, sometimes we don't have too many opportunities. And when we get an opportunity, that we say yes. And when we say yes, we figure out a way to make it happen. With our families, yes. With our spouses and our loved ones, with our church community, within our wider community, in our political voices, we have to say yes. Because we are, as Beyonce said it best, there's complexity in this complexion. There's a lot going on in our minds, and we have to take off hats sometimes and multitask every now and then. But by the end of the day, it is critical that we show up and we say yes, no matter what, to ourselves, first of all, to whatever we believe in, to our perspectives, and to our opportunities that are ahead of us, because there's so much ahead of us that can pale in existence to what's behind us. What's behind us, we can't change. But there's some stuff that's coming ahead, and if you ain't ready, sister, listen, as the rappers say, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
That's it. That's it right there, Michelle. Thank you so much. That right there is like, ooh, all of you guys. I mean, y'all just dropping all sorts of juice today. I feel enriched. And Billy is saying, what a wonderful show. All the women had different journeys, but they come together as a positive puzzle for women. Heather is saying one of the barriers we face is to get ourselves into that likability trap. I recommend reading Alicia Mendez's book, The Likability Trap. She says that we need to let go of the old rules and reimagine leadership rather than reinvent ourselves. I see Marlene is saying a barrier is self-worth. Brilliant. Michelle, she's also saying yes, yes, yes. I see Joy is saying Black don't crack, Rencher. You still have some growing to do. So, ladies, we have one more question, and I'm going to put a time limit on it because we're getting close to that hour mark. So I'm going to give you all up to 2 minutes to respond. Now, listen, I'm not an R&B follower, crazy person in music and all that sort of stuff. I'm a believer. I focus a lot more on, spiritual music and gospel and that sort of stuff. And I saw this chatter about Rihanna's performance at the Super Bowl. And I was like, let me go see what all of this talk was about. And I sat for 13 minutes, watched the entire show, glued to the screen. Yes, Dr. Rencher, glued to the screen, watched her entire performance. And as she wrapped up, elevated above everyone else, I said to myself, Rihanna made the words of her song, Shine Bright Like a Diamond, come true because she was shining bright like a diamond on top of the world. And so, give me one lesson that you took away from Rihanna's halftime show. Loukishia, I'm going to start with you.
Wow, listen, I actually went out to watch the Super Bowl. And at one point in time, they were having issues with connectivity. But listen, her show was completely awesome. It was total admiration for her for being able to achieve that. Like if I was in her state, I'm sure that I wouldn't. I don't know if I would have made it. I probably would have postponed it. But it's not the lesson that came for me was not from her performance because when I was watching it, I didn't hear all the chatter. The place I was, everybody was like rooting and saying, "Yay, what a great performance." The lesson came after when I saw so many negative comments going around on that. All right. And for me, that's not for me. For me, I think the biggest thing is that we have to know how to uplift each other. We need to be able to focus on the positive first. So that's what I saw. For me, again, when we talk about mindset shift, it's being able to focus on the positive. I mean, we have to acknowledge that there's negative. That's just a reality, right? But that's not my focus. I'm not going to let that negativity drive me. It's being focused on the positive. Rihanna could have said that, hey, I'm experiencing, I don't want to do that risky thing. I perform. I may be morning sickness. She said, no, I had a goal, and her goal was to deliver, and deliver she did. Now, the naysayers and the people, you're going to always have people who are going to criticize what you do, no matter what. All right. But when you have a goal to accomplish, she showed us that determination is important, setting a goal is important, and achieving that goal despite what others may think. And that's the most valuable lesson that I picked up. But on the spin side, we as a people, as Black people, right, have to be able to learn how important it is for us to support each other first.
Yeah.
All right. When someone does something amazing, let's acknowledge the fact that they did do something amazing.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
lead with that and let's stop there. So,
Yes.
Rihanna, if you happen to be watching this, hopefully you know that
Anything
I
is possible.
appreciate you. I
Yes.
appreciate you. I applaud you, and you've done something great. Continue to be great.
Yes. Dr. Rencher, we'll come over to you. You're muted. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Ladies, Loukishia, thank you for letting us know that we must always celebrate each other. But what I got from Rihanna was that she said yes. This was not the first time that the NFL came and asked her to perform. The first time she said no for other reasons. She had her reasons and political stuff. And I'm like, I get it. But she said yes in this moment. And she took the opportunity to demonstrate not only how to be brave, how to be bold, how to be a working mom, clearly, but she also showed us to show us how important it is to be intentional about something that's important to you. She danced and she was working it and twerking it. But did you notice that she showed up that Fenty Cosmetics container?
That's right.
Now, I said to myself, in case you may not be a Rihanna fan, Rihanna became a billionaire, not from singing and dancing. She became a billionaire from Fenty Cosmetics.
Yes.
Even though they asked her to perform, to sing and dance and all that other stuff, she found a few seconds to show us, you're going to pay me that money. She opened it up, patted her face, and kept it moving. And the internet went crazy. Do you know that her website crashed because people want to buy her cosmetics even more than she sold before the Super Bowl? She became a billionaire. She hadn't sung since 2019. This 2023. And so how much money you think she gonna make from opening that for a couple seconds?
Yes.
Ladies, show the world what's important to you.
Yes.
You can have all the degrees in the world. You can know how to do 1,000,006 things. If you were a legal person over here, but the best thing about you is your cake, then girl, go crack some eggs.
That's what I'm talking about.
The thing about you is that you happen to have the gift of gab, and you know how to see people where they are, reach them, touch them in their heart, then go do that. You don't need to be an engineer for the rest of your life. You could shift. Rihanna shows us you could work and do all kind of things. And as she said, shine bright like a diamond.
That's right.
When the cameras are on you, open up that make the makeup, pat your cheek, and keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
I'm like, Fenty is the world because, as you can see, it keeps you looking flawless.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm wearing some Fenty. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Aya, what about you? That's all powerful stuff, Loukishia and Dr. Rencher. Go ahead, Aya.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would definitely say ditto to all that. But what I took from Rihanna's her performance is I am obsessed with intellectual property. I'm obsessed with trademarks. I'm obsessed with licensing, royalties. And one of the things that I am very passionate about is teaching entrepreneurs how to break making money from trading your time, how to be to make money in multiple ways and diversify. So you don't want to only make your money because you traded your time. I don't care if they're paying you $40,000 an hour. You want to find different ways to do that. And so it was interesting because I'm not a super big Rihanna fan, but that was one of the things that people kept saying, that she hadn't sung in a long time. She didn't have a new album out. But let me tell you, she had a catalog, a catalog of hits that she's making money off of each of those catalogs. The writers of those songs are making money. The people are downloading it, more listens. She has a catalog of her intellectual property. And I would like to encourage all of you to continue to have to build your own catalog of your own intellectual property, and know that you can always dip back into that. She made, whenever she made those songs, like my favorite one is Shine Bright Like a Diamond and Rude Boy. Those are my favorite. And I remember I was young when Rude Boy came. I mean, that was a long time ago, but she's still making money off of that. And she did that a long time ago. So find ways. I was very impressed with her catalog of intellectual property and how, even though she hasn't made anything new music-wise, and absolutely, she's a billionaire with Fenty, Savage Fenty, her lingerie line. She's an amazing business person. You too can join her ranks. Build your intellectual property.
Yes, yes. Wow. Listen, shine bright like a diamond. There are so many lessons for Black women caught up in or tied up in Rihanna's 13-minute Super Bowl presentation. There's the confidence. There's the belief in yourself. Work hard, consistently, stay at it day after day. Get connected to the right people. Show up, give it your best. Have a standard of excellence. Silence the naysayers, because I have not heard a clap back from her as yet as it relates to what everyone else is saying.
Silence is deafening.
That's it. Her silence is deafening. And we have to get to the place where we're able to silence the voices of other people in pursuit of our dreams and our goals. Ladies, as we wrap up today, I'm going to ask you to just type in the comment section for me, Dr. Rencher, Loukishia, Aya, what advice would you give to Black women who are pursuing their dreams and their goals? They may feel like, it's a little bit overwhelming, but we want to encourage them to continue in the trenches, because the more of us that stay focused on our dreams and our goals, the more examples there are of other people. And as you do that, I want to share some of these comments, because Solomon is saying, my teenage son said Rihanna's performance, and I quote, the last time she released the song was about 6 years ago, and yet she's still such a great star. Solomon's lesson is that she did or created things that are long lasting and that have served her well. Whatever we do, let's make sure we give it our utmost best so that it lasts for long, keeps serving us, and make us more lunch money. That's what I'm talking about. Lucha, that money. I see Heather is saying that we should work and operate in the gifts God gave us. I see Ify is saying, that's right, Dr. Rencher. We need to show the world that we are passionate, what we are passionate about. Marlene is saying, don't stop. The sky used to be the limit. It's now outer space. So keep chasing. you will get there. This has been such a stimulating conversation. And as usual, we never have enough time to go. We go for hours. And that's impractical because we do know that this is a lunch hour show today. And so, whether you're a Black woman looking into breaking into the corporate world, or perhaps an inspiring entrepreneur, or just someone looking for career advice, know that these women here today, Dr. Rencher, Loukishia Cooper, Aya, are all sources of inspiration and guidance. If you're not connected with them, make sure that you connect with them. Have a conversation, a coffee chat, send a message, and be connected. Their stories and accomplishments show us that we too can create our own legacies and we can make impact in the world in more ways than one. I believe that these Black women here today have demonstrated, continue to demonstrate that anything is possible when you believe in yourself. I believe that they have made indelible marks in their respective industries, and it is my hope that their example will inspire more Black women to reach for the stars, to reach for outer space. And in honor of Black History Month, let's take inspiration from these Black women and Black women all around the world who sacrificed so that we can have access. And as I close, I'd like to ask you to consider your aspirations with a realistic eye. We can push boundaries, we can work hard, we can stay focused, and we can surround ourselves with supportive people. And when we do that, we give ourselves wings to fly. Believe in yourself. Your gender or your race doesn't have to define or limit you. Your potential is limitless. Believe in yourself and see opportunities beyond the traditional corporate structure. The world is limitless. And in today's world, we have the opportunity to create paths where there have never been any. And finally, embrace diversity initiatives. Diversity is one of the most important aspects of successful organizational structures. And businesses as a whole can benefit from embracing Black women in corporate America, corporate Bahamas, corporate Caribbean, corporate Africa, through our work, whether that's our philanthropy, whether that's giving us internships, whether that's by mentoring other Black women. We have the opportunity to embrace diversity as a whole. Thank you so much for participating in today's Safe Space Conversations, guys. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Thursday. I want to thank my guests, Dr. Rencher, Loukishia, and Aya, and ask them to remain behind for just a moment as we close out today's broadcast. Take care, guys, and thank you so very much.